Good afternoon, YouTube, and welcome back to the Suburban Proletarian. My name is Greg, and as I mentioned in a video a couple of weeks ago, I am on vacation this week. I'm up here in the beautiful North Woods of Maine. There are a few mosquitoes around, so if you see me swatting at something, that's what it is. I've been producing some videos this week for our companion channel, the Suburban Rifleman. If any of you are interested in the shooting sports and guns and related topics, ammunition, things like that, please go over and check out our other channel, the Suburban Rifleman. But this week I'm also hoping to make a bunch of videos for this channel, and I thought the best place to start was on some topics that I've had requests for follow-ups on. One of my more popular knife videos, actually my first knife video, was on the Eafengrow EF221. I've had a chance to carry it now for a couple of weeks. I've made a few modifications to it. Incidentally, my dad watched my original video and he went out and bought himself an EF221. So I've got two knives to compare. So why don't we just start right there. But first of all, let's cover what exactly this knife is. As I mentioned in my earlier video, it is made by a company called Eafengrow. This is a Chinese, it's not just manufactured in China. Eafengrow is a Chinese company. Eafengrow sells a selection of knives, different models, especially on the big online retailers, Amazon, here in the United States, and of course from China, Alibaba, GearBest, I think both carry Eafengrow model knives, and a lot of their knives are clones of other knives, almost exact copies, some zero tolerance knives. This one features an axis lock, and when I did my first video, I was assuming that they copied the axis lock from Benchmade, the developers of the axis lock. But after having gone through the Benchmade catalog, I didn't see a knife that looked exactly like the Eafengrow EF221, and so I thought, well, this is at least a semi-original design. Subsequently, I have discovered that it is in fact a clone of another knife. It's a clone of the Russian Shirogorov Model 110. So what we have here, and Shirogorov apparently uses the axis lock under license from Benchmade. So what we have here is a very affordable Chinese clone of a very expensive Russian knife, which is built on the principles of American knives that are moderately expensive. So it's sort of a twisted trail to get from Benchmade to the EF221 from Eafengrow. There's one of those mosquitoes. As I talked about in my earlier video, it does purport to be made from D2 tool steel. I did reprofile the edge, as I mentioned, and I've resharpened it several times. But at my day job, my maintenance man job, I've cut a lot of cardboard, corrugated cardboard, which, as we all know, is a very, very dulling medium to cut with a knife blade. And I'm always cutting baler twine, Cecil baling twine, which is also can be quite tough on knife blades. And if your knife isn't sharp, it can be difficult to cut. And I have to say, the EF221 has held up remarkably well. As I mentioned, my dad also bought an EF221. He's done some modifications to his as well. One of the major complaints regarding the EF221 is that the tip of the blade is very, very close to the edge of the frame liners. And you can, if you kind of, it's not a big problem to me. It feels like you have to make some effort to get in there, but you could, I guess, stab yourself. So my dad has reduced, he's just dropped the tip a little bit so that it would be very difficult to catch yourself. And in fact, I didn't see it as a huge problem, but that may be a worthwhile modification. I may end up doing that to my knife. One big difference I see between these two knives, one that's been carried on a daily basis for, I don't know, 3 or 4 weeks, maybe more than a month, and my dad's, which he really hasn't used very much and has just started messing around with, is the stiffness of the axis lock. This one now closes very easily. My dad's is still very, 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 wow, very stiff to unlock. It kind of gets up in there and binds against the back of the frame liners. And so you've got to really overcome. Plus, my dad has his pivot screw set a little bit tighter than mine. The knife doesn't really fall open readily. It does if you kind of shake your wrist. Well, it's breaking in. I think what we'll do now is we'll go over and try doing some bushcrafty stuff. I just want to show how the knife works, maybe make some fuzz sticks, maybe do a little chopping. I'll do the chopping with my knife instead of his knife. I don't want to beat up his knife. He can break this on his own. And one last thing that I almost forgot to do before we take a look at the Eafengrow is customary wristwatch check. Today I am wearing my Certina DS First ceramic on the Hewlett Pacific Perlon strap. This strap is another item that I've had requests to do a follow-up on, so I will be posting a follow-up video. Oh, you little mosquito. Is another thing that I will be posting a follow-up video on in the coming days, so keep an eye open for that. Still loving this watch, still loving this strap. Perlon, as it turns out, is absolutely fantastic in warmer weather. It's a little bit cooler today than it's been, but it's still summertime. Yesterday was the first day of summer, and this stuff just breathes fantastically and doesn't get sticky and nasty. I'm loving this strap. I will do a follow-up on it in a few days. This will take and maintain a sharp enough edge even to raise fairly fine curls on this well-seasoned and dry oak. I could do this all day, but it's durable enough that you can make really aggressive cuts into, again, fairly seasoned hardwood. I've been pretty impressed with the performance of this knife. I mean, you could process firewood with this thing for hours, and there's no discernible degradation of the edge whatsoever. So, is it D2? I don't know. I don't have any reason to believe it's not D2, and if it is, at $26 and change, it's a really remarkable value. The handle's quite ergonomic. The way they came was with a sort of saw cut texture on here, and these corners were very sharp. I smoothed mine out considerably, and I rounded some of these corners a bit. You can see this is my dad's knife. He chose to round out some of these square corners a bit more aggressively than I did. That's one of the great things about G10. You know, this is fiberglass reinforced epoxy. You can pretty much do whatever you want to with this. You're not going to ruin the finish on it or something. It's a very solid, very impregnable material. You can shape it and smooth it however you like, whatever your tastes are, or you can leave it the way it comes out of the box. Neat thing about G10 is it's extremely chemically resistant. It performs well on a broad range, or in a broad range of temperature environments. It's very water resistant. It's just really good stuff, and you know, if it's not to your liking, you can reprofile it as you like. I talked a little bit earlier about my dad dropped the tip on his knife a little bit to prevent snagging when the knife is closed. It's pretty safe now. Mine, which still has the original factory tip, I can pull it out. I could stab myself. Matter of fact, I might have done a little blood glucose test there. Nope. So once again, I think the Eafengrow EF221 represents a really good value. Now, this wood's a little dried out and crumbly, but as you can see, this will take and hold an edge that's capable of raising curls even on quite dry and nasty old oak. And the edge is durable enough to make aggressive cuts even in this very hard oak. To do a nice clean job. So, you know, it's probably not the greatest knife in the world, but at its price point, I haven't found anything that's anywhere close to being as good as it so far. All right guys, so that's my follow-up on the Eafengrow EF221. It's, I think, by no means the last time you'll see this knife on the channel. I've been pretty impressed with it so far. A well-designed blade for bushcraft use. So I'm going to be doing some camping videos later in the summer, early fall, and I'm almost 100% sure that this knife will appear, and probably my dad's as well, because my dad's also going camping with me. In summation, I'm still very, very impressed with this knife. I'm still very, very impressed with the apparent quality. The main question regarding this knife is it in fact made from D2 tool steel? A lot of people have questioned this. And I don't have the metallurgical testing capacity to confirm whether or not it's made from D2. By the same token, I don't really have any reason to believe that it's not made from D2. I don't think it holds up an edge quite as well as my D2 Griptilian from Benchmade. But then again, the D2 Griptilian from Benchmade cost about $150, and this costs $26 from Amazon. I still think, regardless of what the actual steel is, whether it's D2 or a Chinese approximation of D2, I still think it represents a remarkable value. It still seems to be made of very high quality material. It is breaking in nicely, but it hasn't broken. And I have been using it pretty extensively at work. I'm the type of person who treats a knife the way knives were intended to be treated. I don't go intentionally trying to break them, prying the lids off of paint cans and beating on them with hammers. I mean, I do baton firewood from time to time, driving a knife down through wood with a wooden baton, but I don't do that with folding knives. If I was going to do it with a folding knife, I would probably try it with this one, but I have fixed blade knives to do that with, so why beat the hell out of a folding knife using it for something that it wasn't designed for? Overall, I'm really, really impressed with the Eafengrow. Again, the EF221, the Shirogorov Model 110, upon which it's based, must be a really fantastic knife, because that sells for like $1,000, and honestly, for 26 bucks, I don't think this knife can be beat. So you will be seeing more of it on the channel. You'll be seeing more of this jade green one. I think they're remarkable knives, and if I have a catastrophic failure with this knife, or we have a catastrophic failure with that knife, I will be sure to report it here. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please go ahead and click the like button. If you didn't, go ahead and click the dislike button. It helps to have your feedback in deciding what type of content to generate for the channel in the future. If you did like this video and you'd like to see more content like this, please consider subscribing to my channel. It takes just a fraction of a second, it doesn't cost a dime, and it goes a long way to help keep me here on the air. YouTube no longer cares about total views. I do. I love to watch the counts grow over the days, but YouTube is only concerned with the total number of subscribers that I have. And I had one channel that was already monetized, and now it's demonetized, and I'd like to get back I'm never going to make a lot of money doing this, but I would like to make at least a little bit of money to help defray the cost of buying new products to review and maybe new opportunities to test them. And if you're already a subscriber, go ahead and click the bell icon down below. That will prompt YouTube to send you notifications when I post new content to the channel. When I do that, I hope to see all of you here at that time. Later, guys.